Hello everyone. Today we'll be taking a look at Ukraine, Israel, and other conflicts of interest. As of this recording, it is October 22nd, 2023. Now, first of all, let's take a look here to near Vodiane, and it appears that the Russian forces have pushed past this tree line over here, taken it under their control, and pushed a bit past into this field, further extending the front line a bit. And over here, near Krasnohorivka, it looks as if they have pushed a bit past this field, and this seems to be further into their encirclement into Avdiivka, at least their attempted encirclement of Avdiivka. And this encirclement has taken a few months, although recently, as we can see over the past few days, they've really stepped up their attempts at encircling the city. Um, and as we'll take a look at later, we'll see the Russian casualty losses as well as equipment losses, which when I took a look at it, I couldn't believe my eyes as to actually what the equipment losses are. It's so staggering as to how hard they are trying to encircle the city. And just the last bit, a bit of a map clarification near Olyanka, I believe in the Luhansk area. Just taking a look over here. Yeah, see, so just a simple map clarification over here. Now, taking a look over here at the combat engagements that's been going on, you can see a decent amount of shelling near Kherson and, of course, all across the front line. But what's really interesting and what really caught my attention is the 82 combat engagements that have been reported, which is a bit of an uptick around the 70 that's been hovering around the past few days. Although, as we've known that Russia has been on the assault, they've been on the offensive as of these past few days since the Ukrainian counteroffensive has slowly wound down. And it just really reflects how hard they're really trying to push into Ukraine. And from what I understand is that, or the reason why they're going on the assault is that, especially Putin himself, they're trying to garner a political win, which, as we know, war is a political machine, and trying to find a political win for Putin during this time is especially important considering that there's supposed to be, his reelection, you know, reelection in quotations, soon. So that is likely the biggest reason as to why he's trying to secure any kind of win across the front line here. All right, taking a look at ISW and what they're reporting, they're also saying the same thing that are on Avdiivka. Russia is also experiencing heavy material and personnel losses. And just taking a quick look at Oryx over here, just looking at Ukraine's losses, it doesn't seem to have been updated since yesterday. It's the same 4,626 per equipment. But Russia, on the other hand, 12,772. Just to recap, as of yesterday, it was at 12,656. That is over 100 in equipment losses. In terms of this war, that's absolutely catastrophic. This war has been going on for what, over 600 days, almost 2 years, and they've seemed to have lost over 100 pieces of equipment in one day. That's an absolute disaster for the Russian military. And it seems to have, like I said earlier, it seems to reflect this heavy, heavy push on Avdiivka, which has, as we saw, yielded some results, but it's not the kind of results that are going to win a war. Pivoting away from Ukraine itself, we're looking at what appears to be a blast in Crimea here, and the Russians are reporting that it was a missile that was intercepted, but as we know from Russian resources that they are not always completely honest in their reporting, so whether it was truly shot down or not, we don't know, but here's the footage from the incident. Now taking a quick look at Israel as well over here, so we can see that Hamas is still launching missile strikes across Israel, and the IDF is still bombing the Gaza Strip, as has been happening for the past couple weeks. And looking at the West Bank, it seems that, and we'll talk about later, is that the conflict is bleeding more and more over into the West Bank. And looking further into the north, we'll see that the combat engagements with Hezbollah are still continuing, and we'll also look at what this really means for the future between Israel and Hezbollah. All right, now taking a look back at ISW and what they're saying about the conflict, something that we talked about earlier is that Palestinian militants and Israeli forces continue to clash in the West Bank, and what that really means for the future, who knows? But they've been increasingly using IEDs against Israeli forces, so this means that there's possibly more escalation in terms of the conflict. And something else I found really interesting is that Israeli and Hezbollah officials are suggesting that fighting could intensify around the Israel-Lebanon border in the coming days. So what that really means in terms of possible invasion of the Gaza Strip and what Hezbollah might do, who knows? But moving further into Iraq and what's been happening out there is that there have been 2 drone attacks across U.S. forces stationed in Iraq. So what that really means, also, I mean, it just what it seems to accumulate to is that it's just further retaliation by Iran and Iran-backed forces, as per what's been happening in Israel. But what these what these attacks could amount to, these ones themselves, it's not really certain as to what they could be. It just I think a lot of this depends on what happens in Israel and especially what Israel and to some extent the United States does about all of this. Now, just really quick, 14 trucks have gone into Gaza in forms of aid trucks, and as we talked about yesterday, 20 trucks had entered previously, but another 14, how much is that really going to help, a million people? Not very much, but at least it's something. Though we are really hoping that further aid can come to these civilians who are caught in this conflict. So let's take a quick look here at what the Pope is saying. So, of course, the Pope is urging an end to the conflict, and that, as we can see, a destruction of human fraternity, and calls for it to stop, and that Gaza is in need of serious humanitarian aid, with Israel cutting off food, water, and power. So I bring this up mostly to compare between Ukraine and Russia, and then Israel and Hamas, in the sense that an individual can have a stance with Ukraine and Russia, and at least in the West, it seems particularly pro-Ukraine with a lot of people. And if somebody disagrees with you, it's not really that much of a big deal. At least in my opinion, if an individual is pro-Ukraine or pro-Russia, and they talk about it, it seems more or less civil. And at least in my experience, when I've experienced that kind of stuff, it's not like relationship ending. But in terms of Israel Palestine, in the way that at least it's being perceived, especially across media, from what I've seen, the Pope has gotten at least a little bit of heat just for saying this. And this is pretty sterile in terms of what a person can say. He's saying violence. He's condemning the violence of Hamas militants, which is horrible, as we've seen, as anybody has seen with footage, the things that have come out from the documentation that people have seen. But he's also saying that, of course, Israel is not completely without blame too by cutting off water, food, and power, as we can see. So the fact that there are people out there who are saying, hey, there are people who are dying. Let's not have more people die in the future, especially by, you know, people who have been attacked. We don't want more casualties. And just having an opinion or a stance in that matter, if you're not completely all Israel, especially in like Western media, if you're not completely all Israel, you are deemed, might as well be deemed a terrorist as well, right? So this conflict is a lot more finicky, I suppose, in that way. It's a much more sensitive topic, especially among many people who have a very strong opinion about it. Alright, well, that'll do it for today. If you got any further questions or anything you want me to comment on, perhaps any other conflicts of interest that you'd like for me to take a look at and study, or any other things that I should know or should be looking at, let me know. But other than that, thanks.